Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Khwezi, but you can call me Khwezi K. First of all, I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys are keeping safe. So in today's video, we are going to discuss a topic that I am sure most of us have come across, whether on social media, whether amongst our friends, or just in family gatherings, and that is the decision to either buy or rent your home. So as human beings, we have a whole lot of needs that we absolutely cannot ignore. There's a whole hierarchy of needs with like 5 levels that starts with your most basic needs to your most advanced. And at the very bottom of these are your physiological needs, which are the most important and essential for your survival. Now, these are things like food, like water, rest, warmth, and shelter. So we cannot deny that having a roof over your head is one of the most important things that you will need to survive. Now, when it comes to making a decision on whether you should own or rent your home, it inevitably becomes a very emotional decision because naturally you would like to have some sort of control as well as security on one of the most important things that you will need for your own survival and that of your family. This is why home ownership is such an emotional decision and one that cannot be taken lightly. Over and above your emotional considerations though, you also need to consider things like finance. And this, for the most part, will have the most influence on whether you choose to rent or buy your home. Now, at the end of this video, I am going to provide you with a resource tool that you can use to see whether it's viable for you to either rent or to buy. So it's basically like a calculator that will let you input all your finances, things like the interest rate, as well as the deposit that you will put down. And it will basically calculate whether it's more viable to either rent or to buy. Now, I'm moving on to the pros and cons of buying and renting. So having a home gives you a sense of security, of stability, and it gives you a sense of pride. We cannot deny that having your own place is the most incredible thing, because who doesn't want to be tweeting hashtag blessings, hashtag title deed owners, keys, There is also a sense of security in knowing that no one can just decide for whatever reason that they're kicking you out. It's your home. So things like interest rate cuts will benefit you, as the cost to finance your home will be less than what it was, say, 3 years ago. So you might be making a saving on whatever it is that you were paying, whereas renters do not necessarily have the same benefit. So having your own home gives you the freedom to do whatever the hell you want. So if you want to paint your walls pink, or if you want to install Gucci wallpaper, no one is going to tell you that you're not allowed to do this, because it's your home, you own it. The rules change depending on the type of property you own, but generally having your own home gives you way more freedom than what you would get in a rental apartment. So as mentioned before, if you are buying a home, you need to fork out as a lump sum in the beginning of this transaction things like your deposit, your bond registration fees, your transfer fees, your legal fees, and all other fees that you need to pay. So it tends to be a large sum of money. And you might also want to refurbish your home if it is not to your liking, and all these costs can add up. There's some limit to your movement, because say you get an opportunity to go study or work in another city or in another country, you cannot just up and leave, because you either want to sell your property or you want to rent it out, and all these things can take time. They depend on a lot of factors, and especially now with things like COVID-19, even though interest rates are low, a lot of people have lost their sources of income. So people are not necessarily buying homes. So the amount of supply you have does not necessarily correlate with the amount of demand that there is. Although investing in real estate is a fairly safe investment, the returns on it are not as high as what you would get in other vehicles, say like stocks or shares. Also, you might make changes to your home in order to increase its value. But until you sell that home, you will not realize that value. Like, you will not get that money back. You'll just be living in a nice house. So you have a lot of flexibility in terms of movement. So lease agreements will normally range from 6 to 12 months, and they are renewable periodically. So if anything happens to change your living situation, say a nightclub opens in your neighborhood or suddenly the crime rate increases, you are well within your rights to not renew your lease or to even serve notice to terminate it and then move to a better neighborhood. Also, if you decide to move cities because of work or study opportunities, you decide to move in with a friend or boyfriend because you're trying to cut down on costs or whatever reason, then you are able to, as opposed to being tied down because you are struggling to sell your house or you are struggling to find tenants for your house in time for your big move. So at the beginning of every lease, you as the lessee are only liable for your deposit and your monthly rent. This is significantly lower than what you would have to pay initially for home ownership, because you're not liable for things like bond registration fees, legal fees, transfer fees, as well as a deposit, which can be a large amount. So if you do have the money, but then considering all other factors, you decide to rent rather than buy, you can use that money to invest in other vehicles like shares or stocks, which will in turn give you more liquidity as well as a higher rate of return. Now, most lease agreements will state that the landlord is liable for structural maintenance. Now, these are things like your electrical wiring, your plumbing, things like your geyser, and other general maintenance. You should note, however, that any maintenance that arises from the negligence of you as the tenant are for your own account. So in a rental home, there will be rules on the things that you can and cannot change. And for the most part, landlords expect their property to be in the same condition that it was when you first moved in. This can be very limiting for a person that wants their space to reflect their personality. And this is something that we need to be careful about, because if you do make significant changes, they will use your deposit to fix the property so that the next person that comes in finds it in the state that it was when you moved in. If for whatever reason the owner decides that they want to sell their property, they can simply serve you with notice and you will be expected to move out. There are a lot of other instances where the owner can just decide to terminate the lease. So it's not a safe arrangement. If you have been paying rent for say 25 years and you have not really been investing all the savings that you were making from renting instead of buying, then it will be expensive in the long term. Because after 25 years, you will have nothing to show, whereas your friend that decided to rather buy will be finished paying off their bond and they will have a home and you will have nothing. So guys, this is the resource tool I was telling you guys about. It's called Rolling Alpha, and it's basically a rent or buy calculator. It has been tailored to suit South Africa because the currency is already in rands, and literally all you do is just input the different things that apply to you. It has a whole description that tells you exactly what it does, how it works, so you can just go and read up on that. And then at the bottom you will see that the value for the rent that is there will change depending on the different inputs that you punch in on the calculator. So it has your home price. So I wanted 1.5, but it's so hard to find because I'm actually doing this on my phone. so I can't just input it. So I'm just going to take it down to 1 million. And as you can see at the bottom there, it will change. The rental amount will change. And then you can just input all other things like the period of occupation. So how long are you planning to stay in this house or neighborhood or city? I'd say 5 years, because yeah, I don't like to plan far into the future, into the long term. And then the home loan interest rate, that is the amount that you will get from whoever quotes you for a home loan. Then you input that and things change. At the bottom there, as you can see, it says if you can rent a similar home for less than 12 point whatever that amount is per month, then renting is better. So that is the game changer. That is essentially what we want to see. If you get a rental for say 8 grand and that amount is like 12.5, then you are saving about 4.5 per month, and that is the money that you can use to invest in other vehicles that will give you a higher return. You know, it has a whole lot of stuff that you can use to like compare, and you guys can just go and like play around with it and like see, because it also helps you see like what your rate of return would be if you were to buy the house and then like lease it out or rent it out, and how much you'd be paying if you now want to resell the house. So it has a whole lot of information that I think you guys might find useful. And yeah, I will link the direct website in the description box so that you guys can easily find it. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy playing around with this, and I hope it helps you. So the truth is, whether buying or renting is the better option for you is a personal decision. This is not a decision that you should take lightly, or even allow things like social media or anyone for that matter that will not be assisting you financially to like influence you or pressure you. Just make sure that you do all your research and you leave no stone unturned. Guys, that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, thank you so much for watching up until this point. I wish you guys well in all your home buying and renting decisions. If you enjoyed the video, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel, as well as just leave a comment if you have anything that you can share about your own experience when it comes to buying a home or renting. And yeah, I hope to see you guys on the next one.